Assalamu alaikum. Our unit today is Unit 9, a good education and the vocabulary in this unit. Good education. طيب هو بيتكلم معظم اليونت على education in the past and how were students taught in the past. طبعا in the past لو هنا هتكلم عن education in the past how was it؟ فهنقول there were boarding schools. boarding schools اللي هي مدارس داخلية، وكان في governess. governess اللي هي كانت teacher, woman who teaches children in their homes. يبقى a woman who teaches children in their homes governess اللي هي مربية. وكان في home schooling. وhome schooling دي للstudents who live away from schools. يعني ما كانش المدارس الschools موجودة في كل مكان in the past، فكان there is homeschooling اللي هو التعليم في البيوت. طيب إنما now طبعا عندنا إيه؟ عندنا schools everywhere and online learning. تمام، نبدأ نشوف الفوكاب اللي موجودة in this unit. lesson 1 بيتكلم عن author كاتبة Charlotte Bronte، ده اسمها. she wrote Jane Eyre. she wrote Jane Eyre story اسمها Jane Eyre. شوف الفوكاب ودرس الريدنج اللي موجود. السنتنسز دي من the students book. Jane Eyre was an orphan who lived with her cousins and her wealthy aunt. يبقى أول كلمة orphan. Jane Eyre was an orphan who lived with her cousins and her wealthy aunt. يبقى كلمة orphan اللي هنشوف معناها دلوقتي من الجملة دي هي ما كانتش عايشة مع أهلها. lived with her cousins and her wealthy aunt. يبقى the first one orphan. طبعا it's a noun and also it's an adjective. يعني أحيانا بتيجي noun وأحيانا adjective. طيب the second sentence. Jane was sent away to school. Jane was sent away to school يعني راحت boarding school. She was happy to go to Loud school but the owner was very cruel. يعني هي كانت happy إنها رايحة للسكول but the owner كان very cruel. فبسبب إن هو cruel so the students lived unhappy lives. يبقى من المعنى الجملة دي أكيد cruel ده حاجة إيه something bad. okay يبقى the second word cruel and it's an adjective وهنشوف معناها دلوقتي. Jane decided to apply for a job as a governess. يبقى she decided to apply for a job. يبقى أنا عندي كلمة apply for a job اللي هو يتقدم للوظيفة. apply for a job. يبقى البروبوزيشن عندي apply for a job as a governess. a job as a governess. Governesses were often employed by rich families. Governesses were often employed by rich families. يعني كان بيتم توظيفهم بال rich families only. طيب يبقى ال third word عندي دلوقتي اللي هي governess. It's a noun. Jane enjoyed her new job and became friends with the kind housekeeper. Jane enjoyed her new job and became friends with the kind housekeeper. يبقى أنا عندي became friends. became friends. نركز في الإكسبريشنز اللي جاية في reading. became friends with the kind housekeeper. يبقى الword اللي عندي دلوقتي housekeeper and it's a noun. He said that the fire was started by a servant called Grace, but Grace didn't lose her job. يبقى lose the job. lose job يفقد وظيفته. lose job. اوكي مش miss. طيب يبقى الword عندي اللي هنعرفها دلوقتي servant and it's a noun. نبدأ نشوف الفوكاب اللي قلناها في lesson 1. لما يقول cruel and it's an adjective يبقى cruel is adjective. اوكي طيب what does it mean? It means unkind and hurting others. زي ما شفنا في الجملة الأولى إن بسبب الأونر اللي كان cruel ال students lived unhappy life. عاشوا حياة تعيسة. يبقى cruel what does it mean? It means unkind and hurting others. Unkind and hurting others اللي هو قاسي. يبقى cruel قاسي. adjective معنى قاسي. طيب نشوف نستخدمها in a sentence. قبل السنتنس فلما يقول لي السينونيم نفس المعنى أقول unkind أو wicked. يبقى cruel the synonym unkind and wicked اللي هو قاسي أو شرير. طيب الأنتونيم is friendly and gentle. friendly and gentle يبقى أنا عندي الأنتونيم friendly and gentle. أوكي طيب in a sentence the supervisor was very cruel to Ali as he would always give him the hardest work. The supervisor was very cruel to Ali as he would always give him the hardest work. يبقى أنا عندي cruel هنا what does it mean؟ قلنا unkind wicked والantonym friendly and gentle. تمام. The second word governess. Governess what does it mean؟ قلنا معناها a woman who teaches children in their home. A woman who teaches children in their home. طيب what part of speech is it? It's a noun. It's a noun معناها مربية وأحيانا بتيجي كverb وبيبقى معناها to work as a governess. to work as a governess اللي هي بتشتغل مربية. أوكي طيب in a sentence Mr. and Miss Ahmed employed a governess to teach their children at home. They employed يعني عينوا a governess to teach their children at home لأن قلنا معناها a woman who teaches children in their home. طيب the third housekeeper. Housekeeper what part of speech is it? It's a noun. okay طيب what does it mean؟ معنى الكلمة إيه؟ معناها a woman who looks after the whole house. A woman who looks after the whole house اللي هي مدبرة المنزل. A woman who looks after the whole house. Housekeeper. Okay طيب in a sentence she was their third housekeeper but after a month or so she also gave up. She was their third housekeeper يعني دي الهاوسكيبر الثالثة but after a month or so she also gave up كمان مشيت. servant it's a noun. servant is a noun. تمام okay طيب what does it mean؟ It means a person who works for people in their house. A person who works for people in their house. A person who works for people in their house اللي هو خادم أو خادمة. طيب عندي كلمة serve الverb. serve الverb وservice الnoun. يبقى serve الverb اللي هو يخدم وservice اللي هي خدمة الnoun. Okay There are 3 servants in the household, the porter and 2 maids. There are 3 servants in the household, the porter and 2 maids. البولتر اللي هو رئيس الخدم وميدز اللي هي الخدامات. orphan, orphan. Orphan is a noun and adjective. Orphan is a noun and كمان بتيجي كadjective. Okay? طيب, what does it mean? It means a child whose parents are dead. Orphan is a child whose parents are dead. فلما اتكلمنا عن جين اير وقلنا she was an orphan عشان كده she lived with her wealthy aunt and her cousins. يبقى orphan اللي هو يتيم. A child whose parents are dead. She's an orphan child. She is an orphan child. يبقى orphan child يبقى هنا جت كايه adjective طفل يتيم. ولما قلنا Jane Eyre was an orphan كانت noun. It's complete. So-called, so-called, so-called. What does it mean, so-called? وضيف listen 3. لما أقول so-called it means used to show something or someone commonly designated by. يعني المزعوم أو ما يسمى به. يبقى what does it mean used to show something or someone commonly designated by اللي هو ما يسمى به. فقلت Western countries belonging to the so-called Paris Club. يبقى المسمى به Paris Club. وعندي كمان من lesson 3 كلمة business. business طبعا it's a so-called is a adjective. Okay. طيب business is a noun. It's a noun. Okay. طيب what does it mean? business أحيانا بتيجي countable يعني تعد فأقول a business و businesses زي ما جاية في الدرس ده وممكن تيجي ب uncountable. uncountable يعني لا تعد. طب لو هي countable لو هي a business أو businesses بيبقى معناها enterprise اللي هو مشروع. أوكي. إنما لو هي uncountable لا تعد فبقول amount of commercial trade أو إدارة أعمال اللي هو الشغل يعني. طيب in a sentence businesses هنا جاية countable جاية جمعه ضفت لها es يبقى هنا تعد فمعناها المشاريع أو الأعمال فأقول need people with knowledge of STEM subjects. businesses اللي هي الشركات need people with knowledge of STEM subjects وده المعنى اللي جاي في اليونت ده. تمام. في lesson 3 في اليونت ده بيتكلم عن STEM subjects. Science, technology, engineering, and math were taught in schools long before the invention of the internet. تمام. يبقى science طبعا عارفين والتكنولوجي اللي هي تكنولوجيا engineering and math were taught in schools long before the invention of the. However, we now live in a time when these subjects are more important than ever. However, we now live in a time يعني بنعيش في عصر when these subjects are more important than ever. This doesn't mean that music, history, languages, and other subjects are not important. However, understanding the so-called STEM subjects يبقى understanding اللي هو الفهم. so called قلنا المسمى ب STEM subjects. طبعا STEM عارفينها اللي هي مدارس STEM اللي هي science and technology, engineering and math subjects can be an important bridge. كلمة bridge معناها أصلا كوبري. أوكي. طيب بس هنا قصده بيها إيه؟ جسر يعني وصلت بين to a good job in the future. Many businesses don't have enough people with knowledge. Knowledge اللي هي إيه؟ Yes معرفة of the STEM subjects. For that reason they are keen to يبقى keen to. what does it mean؟ حريص. جه بعدها infinitive يبقى keen to give jobs. إنما لو keen on كان جه بعدها إيه؟ noun. To young people with these skills. In the past, STEM subjects were often seen as difficult. To change this idea, many businesses now run open days at which students ورجع استخدم businesses على أنها countable noun. Open days at which students can try building car engines. Schools too are helping students to realize that these subjects can be both interesting and fun. يبقى STEM subjects can be both interesting. يبقى interesting لأنه وصف بيها الإيه؟ subjects وكمان إيه؟ fun for boys and girls of all abilities. abilities اللي هي إيه؟ قدرات. Schools might not have the equipment to build engines. يبقى عندي equipment اللي هي معدات. To build engines اللي هو محرك أو موتور. But many now use different experiments اللي هي تجارب عملية. experiment تجربة عملية. And computers so that students can learn by doing things. Do things. And not just by reading a text. This also helps with critical thinking. معنى critical thinking يعني تفكير نقدي. يعني it's said that 80% of jobs in the future will need the students to have skills. عندي كلمة skills. what does it mean؟ اللي هي مهارات in the STEM subjects. Of course, we will also need artists, musicians, language teachers, and other experts, but skills in STEM subjects will help students to become the problem solvers and inventors of the future. يبقى عندي problem solver اللي هو حلال المشاكل. دي معظم الفوكاب اللي جت في unit 9. طيب في حاجة اسمها collocations يعني what does it mean collocations؟ groups of words that usually go together. زي ايه؟ لما اقول مثلا the first one an online course يبقى عندي ايه الverb اللي هنا بيتحط مع course؟ اقول ايه؟ yes do an online course. طيب ومعناها ايه؟ it means to study online. يعني لما اقول do an online course يبقى to study online. فلما يجيب لي choose ايه الverb اللي يتحط مع online course اقول make do study. لا يبقى do an online course اللي معناها to study online. touch with هنا اقول ايه lose touch with lose touch with. طيب what does it mean stop having contact؟ it means to stop having contact. يبقى do an online course معناها study online. lose touch with اللي هي it means to stop having contact. طيب the third collocation in touch with. يبقى عندي الأولى lose touch with إنما هنا عندي in. يبقى هنا keep in touch with. يبقى the third keep in touch with. طيب what does it mean؟ it means to continue to have contact with. يبقى كده درسنا 3 expressions and the fourth friends وقلنا make friends. okay يبقى make friends what does it mean؟ Yes, it means to start a friendship with someone. To start a friendship with someone. يبقى أنا عندي study online, do an online course. طيب لما أقول keep in touch with، وخدوا بالكم إن keep in touch with lose touch with. طيب keep in touch with what does mean to continue to have contact with اللي هو يبقى على اتصال. إنما lose touch with it means to stop having contact. To stop having contact. وmake friends, make friends it means to start a friendship with someone. طيب في كمان جزء في اليونت دي expressing opinions، يعني أنا أعبر عن رأيي في شيء سواء إذا كنت agree أو disagree. expressing opinions في expressions معينة بقولها لو أنا agree على الرأي ده، أنا موافق على الرأي ده. طيب تفتكروا نقول إيه لو أنا to agree؟ I agree. Okay, that's true. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. يبقى more هنا ادتني ايه؟ ان انا agree على الشيء ده. I'd go along with that. I'd go along with that. I'd go along with that. يبقى أنا agree about something. I suppose so. I suppose so. Exactly. يبقى دي expressions اللي بستخدمها to agree when expressing opinions. طيب to disagree أقول إيه؟ To disagree. I disagree. The first one. I disagree. يعني أنا رافض. You are not always true. You are not always true. I'm completely against. I'm completely against. I'd say the opposite. I'd say the opposite. يبقى دي expressions I say to disagree عشان أقول إن أنا رافض الفكرة اللي بتتعرض. تمام؟ دي language knowledge الفوكاب والexpressions اللي موجودة في unit 9. طيب نبدأ نحل. Choose the two correct answers. هنا هختار two correct answers. Number 1. How many people did the company employ? قلنا كلمة employ قبل كده معناها يوظف. طيب the antonym of the verb employ is. The antonym of the verb employ is hire, fire, understand, learn, discharge. الانتونيم يعني الأوبوزيت. yes fire اللي هو بيفصله و discharge. تمام. Number 2. She has 2 children from previous marriage. The synonym of the word previous is. معنى كلمة previous what does it mean? Earlier, far, later, former, destitute. طبعا عندي the synonym of the word previous is earlier and former اللي هو السابق. طيب number 3. He comes from a wealthy family. This means that his family isn't. He comes from a wealthy family يعني الفاميلي wealthy ثرية. طيب this means that his family isn't a conventional, giant, rich, poor, destitute. طبعا conventional معناها تقليدي usual و giant very big. rich طبعا اللي هي معنى wealthy. عندي poor و destitute. poor and destitute. destitute معدم. هو بيقول لي ان الفاميلي wealthy يعني هي مش ايه. طب number 4. Your room is huge compared to mine. Your room is huge compared to mine. The synonym of the word huge is enormous, tiny, minor, wicked, giant. طبعا معنى huge اللي هي very big. yes enormous and giant. okay. Choose the correct answer from A, B, C or D. لما أقول governances were often by rich families. Were often worked, employed, cruel, earned. The right answer is yes, it's employed. طب number 2. Do you think learning at home today helps students a good education؟ ايه الverb اللي بستخدمه مع good education؟ I will teach a good education, learn a good education, add or get. Yes, it's get a good education. A school is a place where children live and study. يبقى school is a place, a school where children live and study. عندي boarding, abroad, broad. Yes, it's a boarding school. تمام. Number 4, I touch with people I'd gone to school with. هنا ممكن أقول keep in touch lose touch، بس أنا ما عنديش in، يبقى I kept touch ما تنفعش، ولا did touch، يبقى yes I lost touch with people I had gone to school with. Number 5, are groups of words that usually go together. Groups of words that usually go together. عندي collocations, collections, dictionaries, and translations. Yes, the right answer is collocations. Going to school. Number 6, going to school teaches children to with other people. Going to school teaches children to get on well, appreciate, respect, ولا disagree. Going to school teaches children to, yes, get on well with other people. يعني have friendly relationship. طبعا ما ينفعش respect with other people. Number 7, Hania never knew her parents because she is a governess ولا orphan ولا child adult. Yes, the right answer is orphan. That number 8, that Polly was very to the smaller boys, so they told a teacher about it. كان ايه بقى؟ البولي ده كان governess, kind, cruel ولا strange؟ أكيد البولي هيبقى ايه؟ Yes, cruel. Number 9, the showed the guests to her room. مين بقى اللي showed the guests to her room؟ الgoverness اللي هي teach children ولا الhousekeeper orphan ولا cruel؟ Yes, the housekeeper. Number 10, understanding the STEM subjects can be an important bridge to a good job in the future. Understanding the call, so-called, calls, and calling. Yes, the right answer is so-called. Number 11, they are keen وجي بعدها infinitive give jobs to young people with these skills. يبقى بدل جه infinitive يبقى keen ايه؟ to. Keen on بيجي بعدها now. Number 12, she applied for the job which was in the newspaper. She applied for the job which was implied. أكيد الجوب مش implied. Advertised ولا broadcast ولا informed؟ طبعا عندي advertised يعني تم الإعلان عنه. Number 13 is useful for young people who live a long way from a school وقلناها معناها home schooling. Home schooling. Thanks for listening.